Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I am your host, Dennis Patholkus, and this is iZombie, Season 5, Episode 7, Filleted to Rest. Again, not a bad episode. This one, it was just, it was better than what we've had. Wasn't as good as number 3, let's just say that. Number 3 right now is the high watermark for this season. And unfortunately, that was good, but we're not getting the iZombie of old. But they are bringing some stuff into it. Again, it's the story that they're telling, or some of the stuff they're wrapping up, which is actually helping them quite a bit. So before I start here, of course, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comments section. All right. There we go. So, we went through the whole, we finally got a murder in a kitchen, which is good, in a restaurant. Le Dome is what it's called. And Eleanor is a very demanding chef, is what we find out. She is actually, we see her shrink wrapped her head to the chair, to her office chair, but her hands are untied. So, what the hell happened? And of course, we find out later on that she had been hit in the back of the head. That's actually the blunt force trauma by something the size of a loaf of bread. That's what killed her. The restaurant owner himself actually comes to Clive and says that 12 brains were missing. He goes, "Are you the investigator?" And he's like, "Yeah, I am." And we find out that 12 brains are also missing. They were stolen as well, which have a street value of about $10,000. So, kind of important there at that point. In the meantime, Ravi and Liv are trying to find out if Beanpole Bob, who's a chemist who knows how to make utopium, is around, or somebody that they know. And they don't know anybody. They went through all the databases that Major has access to, but they, of course, don't know who this guy is. They're not finding his alias. And she asked, Clive, or Liv asks Clive if he knows of anybody like that. And he's like, it's not ringing a bell. But I'll look into it. It doesn't sound familiar at the moment. So the other thing that we have Ravi gets chewed out by the CDC head because he was keeping the Freilich brains as a cure, a zombie cure, a secret. And he's on video chat with the CDC boss and Charlie's boss, primarily. And they basically say, we're severing ties with you, is what they tell him, and that we're not going to work with you ever again. Boom, gone. In the meantime, Charlie's, telling him that don't mind him. He's kind of a hard ass. I had a family emergency and he chewed me out for being late coming back from that, and said that there weren't any family emergencies, which kind of piques Ravi's interest. And he wants to know what her family emergency was. And she tells him that a little bit off camera, actually, is what was going on. So Fillmore Graves, in the meantime, we have the guards that are standing outside the freezer unit where they're keeping all the bad zombies, if you will. And they're not really doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not really at their posts. And one guy, Peters, goes to get a snack, and he disappears inside. And the two guards that are left outside get shot in the head. And we see this van pull up, and all these other guys that look exactly like Fillmore Graves guards going in, and they start wiping out all the Fillmore Graves people. Justin, in the meantime, Major's friend, is there as well. And we see him, he hears some of the gunshots, and he goes in to go and inspect, but we don't see what happens to him. He disappears at this point. So Major, in the meantime, is actually talking to General Mills' daughter, who is now a zombie, of course, who Graves had actually kidnapped to keep Seattle from getting nuked, of course. And she says, my dad doesn't want to talk to me at all. And he says he's coming into town for a summit, and we want to surprise him by, you meeting him, is what he says. And at that point in time, he gets a call actually telling him that what happened at the freezer unit. So they, of course, go down and investigate. And they find Justin knocked unconscious back in a hallway someplace. So, yeah. And Peter's gone, because Peter actually survived and took off. he ran for it when he saw what was going on, and he actually got shot at and all that stuff too. So in the meantime, Clive is taking over duties, of course, Dale's duties, because she's out on maternity leave. And who is in the detective unit now but Michelle, a very pregnant Michelle, because she's along the same, around the same time that Dale is at this point, too. So there was a murder case that he had, and then also just follow up on just some questioning of a Zamboni driver. So he gives Michelle the questioning and gives one of the other detectives the murder case, of course, thinking that's going to be a little more safer for her. Little does he know. In the meantime, Charlie has told Ravi that she has a sister that he wants her to get a hold of. Because of some family emergency that's happening. And we find out that Lila is Charlie's twin. And she finds Ravi in the morgue there. She brings a guy that she had met at some club and with her, just because, Ravi might be a sketchy dude and all that kind of stuff. And she's making out with him in the morgue. And they end up video chatting Charlie. And the whole thing is the reason why Lila isn't talking to her anymore is because of their mom's ring. It went missing, and she blames Charlie for it, of course. And of course, her mom blames Lila for it. And she's like, you know what? Since you're not going to own up to it, I'm out of here. And she leaves again. This is when Charlie finally comes clean and says, my mom has Alzheimer's. And that's what's been going on, is she's been forgetting more and more stuff. And she even was asking about a cat that had been long dead for 6 years, all that kind of stuff. So that's the family emergency. And she goes, I just don't know how to tell her. I don't know how to tell my sister this. So Ravi says, I'll try and help you, So that's Ravi's thing that he's got going on. In the meantime, we've got Clive and Liv that are interviewing people from the restaurant. And they've interviewed already the dishwasher to find out what's going on. And he heard the chef yelling to the head waiter about the brains being missing, about the brains being stolen. And there was a very loud yelling. He heard him out in the kitchen. So they have brought in the head waiter to ask him some questions as well. And he says that, excuse me, that the chef was, there was some weird stuff that was out on the counter that normally wouldn't go together, some food that was out on the counter. And one of the things was a pork loin. Well, that kind of ticks them off to, I should say it sets off on Clive and Liv's brain that, that was the murder weapon, was the frozen pork loin. And it was served to the guests. So they actually couldn't use it to be DNA sampled to see if that's what was left over and any residue in her hair or anything like that. So yeah, that was the murder weapon. And also the brains were frozen. So the brains were sitting right next to the pork loin. So it was a matter of convenience of where they were to hit her in the head with. They hit Eleanor in the head with. Clive, in the meantime, gets a phone call that Michelle's in the hospital after getting hit with a puck that went over the glass when she was interviewing the Zamboni driver. And he goes over to see her in the hospital, and we find out that she put him down as the baby's father and also her emergency contact. Now, she had told Clive that it was not his baby, that it was her ex-boyfriend's who she hooked up with after Clive had dumped her again. Yes, death by pork, exactly, Mr. Roboto. And but he was reliable, that he was the father that every woman wanted to be the father of their child, kind of thing. So, that was because he had brought her flowers and some snacks and all this kind of stuff. So that's where we get all of that going on. In the meantime, Liv is outside. She is on chef brain at the moment. She's just kind of ripping at everybody. And she has some coffee from the vending machine, and she's pissed off at the coffee machine because it's really shitty coffee. And who does she run into but her mom? Her mom, who we haven't seen since season 1. After she left her brother, who was mortally wounded, in the hospital and just kind of walked away instead of telling her mom that she's a zombie. And her mom's like, what the hell are you doing here, kind of thing. So we actually have this one long-standing thread that we've been waiting for fucking 5 seasons now, 4 seasons anyway, that's finally getting wrapped up here a little bit. And she basically tells her that she walked away because she didn't want to, one, infect her brother and become a zombie. She goes, of course, that she didn't know what was going to happen later on, of course, because it all seems kind of trivial by now. And two, that her uncle was there and that he was going to be the one that saves her brother anyway. And she kind of knew that was going to be the case. And then also she goes, oh, and we also know that this uncle, as she puts it in quotation marks, is our father. And her mom's like, no, he's not your father. Junkie was your father. And she goes off saying about how her father was a junkie. He cleaned himself up later on and went to Doctors Without Borders. He was very brilliant. Came back, wanted to see Liv, and of course the mom wouldn't let her do it. Her mom wouldn't let her do it. Let him do it, I should say. And that last she saw him, he was panhandling. He was out in the street panhandling. And she gives her a name and says, your father's name is Martin Roberts. And Liv, basically she leaves him. And Liv tells her, tell Robbie I said hi. And she goes, no, he doesn't want anything to do with you. So yeah, it's finally, we got some closure on some of this shit at least. We're not going to see Robbie ever again because that actor I think is long gone. He's off. I don't know if he's even acting anymore, if that kid's acting anymore. So there we go. So at Renegade HQ, we see Liv, still kind of strung out a little bit. And the kids, the zombie kids are playing, they're reading real loud. And she just snaps at them and kind of yells at them. And of course, it's just because she's under stress. And of course, they can't go outside. They can't blow off any steam because they are, they can't go outside because they're wanted at this point. And she feels bad about it. So Liv and Clive interview the zombie chef because the restaurant actually has a zombie chef there. And, he's, this is when Liv has a vision. He basically says that the brains that they had were frozen, not in a refrigerator. They're actually frozen. And when they have them shipped in. And of course, she has a vision of him with of another guy that had brains shrink wrapped around his body. And they don't know who this guy is. So she's looking through the employee records and they find him because they all have pictures attached to them. Because, what restaurant doesn't take pictures of their employees? I know any restaurant I worked for didn't. But hey, sure, why not? It's TV. So he is actually a former busboy. And the zombie chef says, you might want to check, well, hang on a sec before that. I actually got a little bit ahead of myself there. So Major and Justin talk about the freezer breakout going on. And of course, Justin's all bandaged up now at this point. Oops, sorry. I'm getting all paperwork everywhere. And we see that the guy that has been putting all this stuff together, this zombie guy who's wearing this metal helmet, who we still don't really know his name, is thawing out zombies when the zombie mole, if you will, that's going to Renegade, comes in and gives her report about how she's doing within the zombie, within Renegade's HQ there. Major comes into his house. He's talking to Liv on the phone, and who happens to be sitting on his couch but Peters. Peters is sitting there in the dark. Major draws his gun, and Peter goes, hey, wait a minute. He goes, I'm not the traitor. Justin is the traitor. He goes, when I walked around the corner, he goes, I saw all these guards standing around talking, amongst the dead bodies of my squad. And who were they talking to? A bloodied up Justin is who they were talking to. And he goes, that's when I hightailed it out of there. And he goes, then I'm afraid, I'm going to get killed. That's the reason why I didn't come forward. And he's, well, Major asks, well, why wasn't anyone at their post? And he goes, well, because Captain Bell, Justin, told us that we're going to have an inspection. So everyone was polishing shoes, doing their beds, all that kind of stuff. They were exactly where he wanted them to be. So, yeah. So we have Lila video chatting with Charlie again and telling her, Ravi was bothering her all this time. sending her all these kind of informational packets about Alzheimer's and everything like that. And he even introduced her to the Notebook, which changed the way she viewed Ryan Gosling now at this point. So, so she has a good relationship going on with Charlie, and they hang up, and we find out that she's actually going to leave the city and meet Charlie on Tuesday. So really kind of cool that she's going to go out and meet her sister again. So the cops in the meantime pick up the brain thief guy, and they find a whole bunch of other shit in his apartment as well. So he's stolen a whole bunch of stuff. He's a burglar and breaks into all kinds of stuff. And they beaten the shit out of him because he tried to run through them, and the cops just took him down. So he's in the hospital, and they're talking to him, and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm not the one who did it." He goes, "I'm on video breaking into this store, and I'm wearing a stocking cap. You can find that sitting back in my apartment." He goes, "So you probably want to take a look at the busboy or the dishwasher, because both of them are zombies." I found the dishwasher scarfing down leftovers off of one of the plates, and Eleanor almost chewed his head off because of it. Yeah, Eleanor being the chef, of course. So Major has Peter's fake an injury, says that his face almost got melted off, and they're wheeling him in, and Justin's there, and they have all the Fillmore Graves guys around him. He goes, "Yeah, we found him, and it looks like he's injured, but we're going to question him, and we'll find out what happened," kind of thing. And Liv, in the meantime, goes back to the Dome to go and try some of the brains. And the waiter is telling her what kind of brains she can have. And of course, the ones that she wanted, the one that she wanted to get off of the chef brain, which was too intense, she wanted a yoga instructor, wasn't there. So he's writing down the brain list. He goes, "Oh, wait a minute. That was last week's. All those brains got stolen. One of them was a mathematician, and there was a couple other things too." And she goes, "Wait a minute. I know who did this. I solved the murder," which is kind of funny for this show, of her actually saying that, flat out, of, "Oh my God, I solved the murder." And we find out that it's the dishwasher. So the dishwasher he was hiding that he was a zombie, is what it was. And Eleanor had found out about it, that he was stealing brains in order to, and he also hasn't come out to his parents either. So his parents didn't know. He was hiding it from his parents, and he was stealing brains is what was going on. So Eleanor was going to fire him, and he panicked, grabbed the pork loin, and killed her with the pork loin. And then, of course, took all the brains and took off. So yeah, it made it look like she was suffocated with the saran wrap, and really it was the blow to the head that killed her. So we solved that mystery. And in the meantime, we have Justin. He and another guy are actually outside guarding Peter's, outside of this cage kind of thing. And Justin sends off the other guy to go get some snacks. And he walks into the cage, and Major's watching all this on the video there, on a video display. And Justin is going to kill Peters, saying, "Hey, you shouldn't have come back," kind of thing. And that's when Major comes in and holds gun to Justin's head and says, "Nope, I've got you. You picked the wrong side," is what he says. And so Justin, of course, tries to escape and takes one of the guards hostage, and Major kills him, just shoots him straight in the head. Yeah. We see General Bell's daughter get kidnapped off the street. She's actually having a good time with some people, and she gets snatched right off the street. Now, we don't know if these are dead enders or if these are the mystery zombie dudes guys, or who it is at this point. Lila, in the meantime, we see her getting out of Seattle with one of the coyotes, and Liv and Major are sitting down to dinner with the kids. They're cooked up a little zombie dinner there, and they're having dinner with the kids. And then we see this the zombie dude, the guy who is leading all of this with the French lieutenant, as I call him. And they have the Romero zombies in this cage, in this cell, and he's preparing a needle on a stick. We don't know exactly what this needle is and what it's filled with, but something on a stick. And we get a ring on the doorbell, and he goes to go and answer it. and we see Liv at his door, and she goes, "Excuse me, are you Martin Roberts?" And he says, "Yeah." And she goes, "I think you're my father." So yeah, her dad might be responsible for starting all this shit. And that's where we leave off on the episode. So again, like I said, they moved a lot of plot forward in this one. That's why it was good. Was it particularly well written? Not really. It wasn't as good as the third episode in this season. We still don't know what creates the Romero zombies. Yeah, we do, Pen. If you don't feed people, if you don't feed the zombies, they turn Romero. They talked about this in season 1 and season 2. And that's why they're called Romero zombies, in honor of George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, because they become mindless. Essentially, they atrophy, and their brains atrophy is what they're saying. Because they actually did an autopsy. Liv did the autopsy on the one girl that had fallen into like a drain catch or something like that, a sewer area, and she starved and became a Romero zombie, and they killed her and brought her out, and Liv did the autopsy on her and found out that her brain had atrophied. And that's what she was really worried about, was becoming one of those. But she found out if she ate, as long as she ate brains, she was okay. Yeah. Rick Graham says Coral. Yeah. So they captured them and starved them. Exactly, Pen Farm Girl. That's what they did. They captured them and starved them. It's pretty shitty stuff that they did. Isn't that the blue liquid they used in season 3 to get better visions? No, it was green, Maddie Fernandez. It was some green stuff, so that's why it was kind of a weird. I don't know what it was. That's one thing we'll find out here. This season sounds so. Yeah, Joe Greer, it's not fantastic. Again, Rob Thomas is working on another series. I can't remember what it is. He's setting that up, and I'm pretty sure his time is more on that than it is on finishing this one, which is kind of a shame, quite honestly. There's a lot of things to tie up. There's a lot of loose ends to tie up. I'm glad that they brought back Liv's mom, at least, to tie up that fucking loose end, because that was actually that kind of bothered me, that at the end of season 1, her brother is in, he's mortally wounded in the hospital. He might die, and she just kind of walks away from all of this, and we don't see anything. And we heard about it at the beginning of season 2, like, yeah, he survived. That was about it. Peyton tells her, and that's it. That's all we got. But yeah, it was kind of a shitty way of doing that. I don't know why, but I don't know. Yeah, you're right, Pen Farm Girl. It still is better than a lot of shows. So, but yeah, we've got this whole thing going on now. I mean, and then also Dolly, leading the Dead Enders. We have, now Liv's dad going the opposite direction, with Fillmore Graves, Peyton, and Renegade all in the middle of all of this. So, yeah, some really weird shit. It's actually good. I mean, they've set it up well now. If they can just keep competent writers on this series, and not like episodes 1 and 2. Episodes 1 and 2 were horrible. That was dog shit. They need to keep those writers away. Maybe lock them in a cage someplace and let them starve, kind of like the Romero zombies there. So CW is doing a CW version of The Walking. No, Mr. Roboto, this is long before The Walking Dead. So this is actually based on a comic called iZombie. So yeah. Lots of mentions of Alzheimer's. Is it foreshadowing? Yes, Maddie. I'm fairly sure it will be. I was thinking the exact same thing, is that, yeah, Charlie's mom has Alzheimer's. Something's going to happen with the Freilich kids and the zombie cure, and it's going to lead to a cure for Alzheimer's as well. So it's all going to come around full circle. You mean Supernatural last season? I don't know what they're doing, Mr. Roboto, with Supernatural. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Maddie, though. I do believe that they're going to do something with, they're going to cure Charlie's mom, Charlie and Lila's mom, of Alzheimer's, because that's just how the show rolls sometimes. There we go. Yes, Liv's coworker, Ravi. That's what you're talking about there? Pen, is that what you're saying? Let's see. I missed something, I guess, up there. No, I guess not. But yeah, so I don't know what they're doing with the Romero zombies. The water's good, Mr. Roboto. It's filtered, so it's excellent. I don't know what they're going to do with the Romero zombies, and also, what they're going to do with the frozen. So, um, this guy Martin Roberts has taken all the prisoners out of the deep freeze. What was it? It was like 15 people that were there, or 30 people, something like that. And he's thawing them out. The French lieutenant was one of them. That was the whole reason for the raid, by the way, on the Fillmore Graves site. And we haven't seen what the big plan is. I mean, because it's not a lot of people in a city the size of Seattle. You got 10,000 zombies that are in Seattle right now. You've got probably another 1,000,000 people, I think is what they said, something around there. So yeah, it's not there. No, the doctor left in the hole was her coworker. Oh, that's right. That's right. She was the medical examiner beforehand. I forgot all about that. Thank you, Penn Farm Girl. The doctor that was left in the hole was her coworker. She was the original medical examiner before Ravi ended up getting the job because she died. I forgot all about that. That was way back in season 1. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. That's something I completely forgot about. Maddie Fernandez, this season feels like X-Men, but with zombies instead of humans. You mean mutants? I don't know. I mean, they're still following along the same plot lines that they've been going through, shambling through, plotting through, shuffling their feet through. But yeah. See you, Mr. Roboto. Have fun at work. Take it you're going to work. So, but yeah, not bad. I mean, like I said, it moved. This was an entire information dump that they did in this episode alone, and it was actually pretty much needed to move a lot of stuff along. Oh, you're just gonna go to sleep. All right. Good night, Mr. Roboto. Thank you. For those of you who like what you see here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Come on in and take a look. And if you're still on the fence, you're going to see a video that's going to pop up in this area that is going to be plucked from our video library and matched to the algorithm of everything you've been watching. So we're going to have that up there. Who do you think will be the final big bad? That's a good question. Who will be the final big bad on this season? Maybe the CDC at this point. Who knows? I mean, yeah. I know, Joker. I'm almost up to 250 people here. 249. So I understand. Yes, it's been slow. It's been slow growth, but it's good growth. But yeah, I don't know who I'm. Either it's the CDC or I would. It would really suck if they did Peyton as the big bad, but I don't think there's going to be a big bad per se. They really haven't done that since season 1, season 2. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not too sure. But I'm pretty sure it's going to end with a zombie cure, is what it's going to end with. Either that or Liv's death. It's one of the two. And she might sacrifice herself for the zombie cure, considering that she was one of the original and the longest running zombie going on right now. I thought they were running the building to Blaine being the final big bad. They could be. I mean, Blaine again disappeared. I think he's only in it for a certain number of episodes, so I don't think he's in it for the entire season. Of the actor, which is kind of a shame. I mean, he actually is pretty good at what he does. Or maybe it'll be Stacy Boss. Since Stacy and Al, they never really wrapped up that whole thing. That Stacy and and Al concocted this whole thing to make Blaine look really bad and then also take down Fillmore Graves at the same time. So they have that whole plot line running as well. They just kind of dumped that on us at the last episode. It was at the end, or the episode before, episode 5. They kind of just dumped it on us and then left it. And there might be a reunion with Major. I don't know. I mean, again, there's not that much time. I mean, the last episode's going to be on August 1st or 2nd, something like that. And is that right? I believe so. I believe it's 1st or 2nd, something like that. And so that's, what is it? 8 more episodes, something like that. 9 more episodes. August 1st. Thank you, Maddie. So 9 more episodes of this, because you have July 4th, they're going to be off, of course, because July 4th falls on a Thursday. Yay. So, yeah. It's not, it's a lot to go through. Yeah, you can catch up, Joker. It's not that hard to do. Quite honestly, my favorite episode of the entire series is the wrestling Major on Wrestling Brain. I have to say my favorite scene, though, of the entire series is the end of season 1, where Major goes into meet Q with the Commissar playing and taking out the zombie mobsters. So yeah, Wrestling Brain Major was the best. I mean, he did such a good job. And by the way, a Macho Man Randy Savage doll dressed up in Slim Jim gear with holding on to some Slim Jims is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive this year at Entertainment Earth. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I don't know. I'm not a big wrestling fan, but at the same time, it's a Macho Man Randy Savage. He's got the hat, the glasses that come off, all that stuff. He's got the the jacket with the fringe on it, all that shit. So yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about it, Penn. I'm thinking about it. It's one of those things. There are so many things that are out there. They keep, there's going to be a list eventually on San Diego Comic-Con site that shows all the exclusives, and then I have to make my decisions on what I'm going to get, and then what I can actually get. Yeah. So Savage versus Steamboat, my favorite WrestleMania match ever. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. R.I.P. Randy. Man. So on that depressing note, if you want to see when I'm going to be on again live, you can hit the bell right down below there. If you've already hit it, don't hit it again. It will unclick it. You can go into the bell settings and get as little or as many notifications as you want. You can also take a look at my webpage, suspendedfanimation.com, where I have the schedule up for the entire week. Tomorrow is going to be Swamp Thing. Yes, I am continuing Swamp Thing until the season runs out. There's only one season anyway. I'm going to finish it up. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off. That's where I take the genre news of the week, talk about that, and any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about. It's mostly a free-for-all, guided lightly by me on some topics here and there. It's a lot of fun. It usually lasts about an hour and a half, 2 hours long, somewhere around there. Sunday I'm off. Monday is the final season of The Tick, on Amazon anyway, and the final episode of that final season on Amazon there as well. And Tuesday I'm off. Wednesday, of course, is going to be I just blanked on what Wednesday was. Oh my god. Now I just blanked on what Wednesday was. Now I gotta take a look at my notes. My god. It's been a long day at work, kids. Sorry. Krypton. There we go. Whoa. Wow. Yes, Krypton is on Wednesday nights. Ugh, my brain is like scattered. Yes, I am back to the regular time, Joe Greer, on Saturday. It will be at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. More Jennifer Beals Southern accent. Yes. I didn't even realize that was Jennifer Beal, to tell you the truth, in Swamp Thing. That's how bad I was with that. I didn't do that. Yeah, Krypton, the Lobo prequel. Yeah, Pen Farm Girl, the less said about Lobo, the better. I know someone in the comment section had mentioned that they liked how Lobo was introduced in that. I was not a fan. Solid episode last night. Hollywood cast Georgina Campbell in what, Joker? I don't know which one you're talking about. Solid episode last night. Hollywood cast. Oh, okay. I don't know which one you're talking about. Oh, in more roles. Okay. I don't know who Georgina can. Oh, she's Zod's mother. There we go. Okay, so she's Jaina. Not Jaina. Lita Zod. Yes. There we go. Sorry, my brain is not, like I said, up to snuff at the moment. But anyway, so that's what's going on right there. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Also, take a look at the video if you're still on the fence. You're going to see the video that is going to be picked for you, hand-picked by whatever algorithm Google is using, YouTube is using to pop it up here. My latest video is going to be right up here as well. So, with that said, I want to thank all of you guys in the chat: Joe Greer III, Pen Farm Girl, excuse me, Maddie Fernandez, and Mr. Roboto, who came in for a little bit. And I think somebody else came in too early on and then disappeared. No, that was it. We might have a couple lurkers here and there, but that's fine. And thank you for watching the video. If you stuck it out this long. And again, come on back for Saturday, man. I mean, Saturday is actually a lot of fun. And then you can decide what other shows you want to. It seems like everything that I've been covering lately is getting canceled because this is the final season of iZombie. Swamp Thing, of course, has been canceled. The Tick, it's the final season of The Tick. And Krypton's the only thing that actually is ongoing and getting a sequel, with not a sequel but a spin-off for Tiny Lobo. Tiny Lobo is getting his own spin-off, I guess. Yes, The Good Place is also ending as well. Yeah, I talked about that on Saturday. Yeah, Happy is ended. Deadly Class ended. Yeah. Are you going to cover the new season of Young Justice? No, Joker, I'm not going to, because they already did. It's the second half of the season, the second half of the third season, so it's kind of hard to do. I will be covering Legion, though. Yes, Legion on Monday. So Legion is on June 24th. I also will be covering The Boys on Amazon. And right now, I've watched 1.5 episodes of Good Omens, and I'm not sold on it. I may do a small video on it later on at some point, but I'm not really sold on Good Omens. It reminds me of a Monty Python skit that isn't done by Monty Python, but is Monty Python in vain, I guess you could say, or an homage. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Monty Python and homage. Started one day. I might finish Star Wars Resistance first. Yeah, Star Wars Resistance was actually not bad. It ended really, really well. I mean, really well. That's all I can say. Because people got pissed at me when I didn't spoil anything, but they got pissed at me when I mentioned something that they thought might give it away. So it's a kid show. It starts off as a kid show. It's Dave Filoni, man. I mean, Dave Filoni does this. He and Bruce Timm are actually, it seems like they're famous for this now. They start off what seems like a kid show, and it gets darker and darker and darker and dark, and then you go full on dark before you know it. You're like, oh shit, this is for adults now. There we go. Yeah. And I love that. That's actually, it's good. And it's actually okay for kids to watch that kind of stuff. I mean, we used to watch it when we were kids growing up. I mean, again, I keep talking about this Watership Down. That's not for kids. The Dark Crystal was not for kids. Yes, it may have been animated. It may have had puppets in it, stuff like that. But shit, no. But we watched it anyway. Yeah, Clone Wars was actually really good. I'm looking forward to the supposed, lost season that they call it. But it's on Disney Plus. It's the only thing. So, all right, I'm gonna let you guys go. I know it's getting late for those of you on the East Coast, and also for me too. And I've got to walk a little dog that's been bothering me, about doing that. Have you seen the Brazil car commercial inspired by the old animated series Dungeons and Dragons? No, I have not. But that sounds actually kind of cool. I remember that watching that series on TV. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. So with that said, thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you everybody who's watching out there in computer land, if you will. And I will see you all tomorrow for Swamp Thing. All right. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you might wind up wondering where the hell the brains went to and who stole them. Thanks, everybody. Good night.